right, Cassie, why would somebody want to make it easy for their kid to sneak out of the house?
Yeah, so I don't fully understand this, but I'm wondering if parents of teenagers do. And I kind of see the logic here, but I'm not sure I'm on board. So a former coworker of mine has a 13-year-old son, and they just moved into a new house. Now, the son's bedroom, the way she tells me it's set up, and from what I saw in the photos, the eaves of the roof, he's on the second story, the eaves of the roof, one of them stretches out under his window. Like, it would be very easy for him to climb out of his window and walk onto the roof. That's just how the house is built. That's where his room is. And so her thought is, as he's starting to get older and knowing what she knows about teens and how they like to sneak out or break curfew, she's like, I'm thinking about installing a trellis on that side of the house. So when he inevitably crawls out of his window onto the roof to get out and sneak out, he will have a ladder of sorts that he can climb down rather than trying to jump off the roof and hurting himself. So her thing is like, I'm not going to be able to stop him from sneaking out. So I'm going to sneakily make it as safe as possible for him to sneak out when he inevitably does. And I'm like, well, that's kind of a genius. But her husband is like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I am not going to enable my preteen teenage son in his sneaking out at night. If he falls off the roof because he broke curfew and broke the rules and gets hurt, well, there's your consequence and there's your lesson learned. Mm-hmm. And so you've got two different camps. And I'm like, I kind of side with both of them. Like, I would never want my kid to get hurt. And as a parent, you're kind of always looking out for ways you can break their fall to stop them from getting seriously injured. But they do need to learn lessons. But to go to the other side of things and make it easy for them to break rules and break curfew, is that enabling them too much? I'm totally torn.
I almost feel like this is an old school problem now, because it's not inevitable that your teens are going to sneak out of the house. But nowadays, there are alarm systems that are fairly cheap that as soon as my kid opens up his window, everybody in the neighborhood knows.
Yeah, but he's got the app on his phone. Like, he's 13, they give him access to the alarm system so that if they're late, he gets dropped off by a friend after school, he can come in. Because I said the same thing. I'm like, don't you guys have an alarm? Problem solved. No, because he can operate the alarm so he can disable and enable it whenever he needs to leave and come back in.
But they would still know that he left. So I guess he could get injured going off of the roof, but they would still know he left and came back.
Not if he disabled it.
Yeah, like if he turned it off.
If he disabled the alarm, if he has access I get that, but technology now is so freaking advanced. One, you're able to track your kid, and two, they could put a camera on the window. Yeah. You can easily put a camera, and that's how you could do it. Back in my day, it was so easy to sneak out of the house because I had the air conditioning unit right outside my window, right? So I'd sit there and I'd wait, and obviously only during the hot months, for the air conditioner to kick on. That way it made noise, and I was able to lift my window up and then hop out and then bring it down. So there were a little slit so I can come back in and just, that's how I snuck out.
So my 17-year-old lives downstairs in our finished basement, right? But I've got enough security cameras down there and enough locks. I'm pretty much like casino security. Watching all of the cameras when he's got people down there.
You're like your son's pit boss.
But okay, let me ask you that. I mean, your son's 17, so I feel like that's a different story. But let's say he was 13 and down there. Are you staying up all night watching those cameras? Because the cameras and all that stuff are great, but if you don't have any way of it waking you up when it's happening, unless you're checking every single morning to see if your kid snuck out, you would not know.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh, okay. All right.
It would be an after the fact kind of situation.
Yeah. I feel like I can see my dad now saying, if you break your leg trying to break curfew, then hopefully it fixes your stupidity. So,
That's a pretty good line.
The way I was raised, I don't think I would be able to help my child try to sneak out. You would have to figure that out on your own.
Yeah. Well, also some of us were losers in high school, so the thought of sneaking out never crossed my mind. Where was I gonna go? I was too busy running my high school church to think about sneaking up with boys. So I don't don't think it's inevitable that once you hit 14, you're going to start like sneaking out and like dealing drugs. Like I think I appreciate the proactiveness of her. Like, well, it would be so much cooler if there was a trellis and he could like scale down like Spider-Man.
Hell no.
Like this is not a CW show. I think even if there's a trellis, it's not going to end well.
This reminds me, I would like to send out a public apology to the girl in middle school whose house we used to sleep over at, because the only reason why we slept over there is because her house was so easy to sneak out of. And we wanted to like just cruise her neighborhood and like get into shenanigans. So I'm very sorry we used you in your basement with the sliding glass door.
The Bert Show.